My name is Victoria Lemus, and my topic is mandatory drug testing for all students. By all students, I mean students involved in extracurricular activities like clubs and sports, as well as students that do not belong to any organization. Many adolescents, including many of my friends and people in this very class, have either tried or continually used drugs. If so many of my friends, acquaintances, and fellow classmates use drugs, why would I want schools to begin mandatory drug testing for all students? To start, mandatory drug testing would limit students' use of drugs, is a perfectly legal examination, and would be a way for schools to assist students that are in need of an intervention. Aside from the fact that tests would benefit students that are truly in need, I would enjoy seeing students get in trouble that truly deserve it. And yes, I do want to watch the world burn. Testing every single student for several different types of drugs and chemicals in their system would become very expensive for schools. So many people believe that the testing should not be done. Those people that believe mandatory testing for every student is too expensive for schools also believe that the money that funds those tests would be better spent on more effective prevention measures. Schools will pay from $25 to $50 for each SAP-10 test ordered, with urine alcohol tests costing $6 to $10 each, LSD tests $22 to $25 each, urine nicotine tests cost $10 to $12 each, and anabolic steroid tests costing $80 to $95 each. With all of those prices, an MRO, also known as a medical review officer, that is a licensed physician who has additional training and certification in the area of drug testing, is included with the test in order to help the students administer the test, or the schools administer the test fairly. What these people are not considering is that the threat of drug testing would cause many students to stop using drugs. Students would be afraid of getting caught, and the fear of punishment would stop most, if not all, students. Drugs are a fountain of cash for some students, so getting caught doing drugs and being offered a lesser punishment by stating what other students the drugs were bought from would help each student catch each student not consuming drugs but selling them. When schools allow voluntary testing, the students that are actually using drugs are not going out and taking the test. If a student is forced to take a test by their parent and they get caught breaking the rules by using drugs or alcohol, then they will be helped into breaking their bad habits. However, drug tests taken by volunteers have little impact on students using and not getting caught. Many people absolutely refuse to be drug tested because they believe it to be an invasion of their privacy. They believe it is their right to refuse to be drug tested, which in some instances it is, but not for athletes. Under the Fourth Amendment, the Supreme Court has found that random drug testing of student athletes is not a violation of privacy. It is perfectly legal to randomly drug test student athletes in college and high school. The court has decided that drug testing student athletes was legal because they have a lower expectation of privacy than the average individual, and the risk of physical harm due to an athlete's use of drugs was greater. Random drug testing for student athletes was justified. Random drug testing is already being done to student athletes, so it would not be difficult for schools to expand to the entire student body. Schools already implement programs like DARE and Red Ribbon Week, but dressing up as a celebrity or as someone from a different era does not stop students from using drugs. Studies have shown that the schools that employ this strategy do not have lower reports of drug use, and other studies find that there is a link between drug testing and reduced prevalence of drug use in students. Both John Tyler and Robert E. Lee proms happened in the span of a week, and the JT after party was busted by cops for drug use, and I saw many videos on Snapchat of students drinking and smoking illegal substances despite TISD shoving Red Ribbon Week down our throats since elementary school. Since it is legal to randomly drug test athletes, people believe it should stop there. People believe student athletes are the only students that should be tested because they are role models and can influence the drug culture of a school, especially knowing that drug use, and athletics are a dangerous combination. Student athletes, however, are not the ones offering drugs to students that are not in clubs or extracurricular activities. Students are getting influenced heavily by the media as well as older people. The responsibility of being the influence of others should not be placed on an adolescent that does not even know what they want to spend the rest of their lives doing. Student athletes or students involved in other extracurricular activities already reported less substance use than comparable students in other high schools, especially if they are subject to random drug testing, which is according to the new evaluation released by the Institute of Education Sciences. Despite the cost, testing would cause more students to halt their illegal substance use. Drug testing is perfectly legal and being mandatory would only bother students that are already using and abusing drugs. The push for athletes to be the only students drug tested is taking away the opportunity for students that are not involved in extracurricular activities to find the help they desperately need to better their situation. Schools are preparing students for their future, and mandatory drug testing for all students would allow schools an extra fountain of guidance to students that are able to make safe choices and bring themselves an increased chance for a better future. Thank you for your attention.